Hey everyone, welcome to Morethanmeetstheseguys. This is going to be a little side thing we're going to be doing here from here on out. Going over the original, well, at this point, original Marvel run of the comic book. And we'll see where it goes from there. Maybe we'll continue on to later issues. So we are going to be starting with issue number 1. And I'm here joined with Boo of the Axalon Underground.net.
Hello.
So, man, I'll tell you, this is really it was weird. I haven't read this issue probably, I don't know, 20 years. And
Yeah.
it's kind of jarring how much exposition it reminds me of early X-Men comics,
Oh yeah.
where
Totally.
you basically have a narrator the entire time.
Yeah. There's in some of my notes, I just put wall of text
Pretty
because
much.
there's more words on the page than there are pictures.
Yeah. And there's some we were talking about this a few minutes ago actually. There's some pretty heavy hitters working on this issue number 1. I mean, artist Frank Springer,
Hmm.
uh and the art wasn't as bad as I remember it. It feels very early '80s comic book art. I mean,
Oh
I think
yeah.
Frank Springer worked on Nick Fury, Agent of Shield, Manhunter, Dazzler, a lot of other books.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, you were into the writers a bit. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh yeah. Well, the plotter Bill Mantlo, it was a co-creator of Rocket Raccoon and Cloak and Dagger.
Nice.
Okay. He worked on Micronauts and ROM Space Knight, which those both have ties to Transformers.
Yep.
Okay. And with George Perez, he co-created Marvel's first Hispanic superhero, White Tiger.
Nice.
Okay. The whole reason Marvel got the Micronauts license is because Mantlo's son got some Micronauts toys, Amigos, for Christmas, and he just like envisioned like these could be in like their own little tiny universe, which they ended up borrowing the term the microverse, which was first coined like in the 40s in the Captain America comic and Captain
Yeah.
America 26. But he's the one that developed the microverse into what we now know as the quantum realm.
Very cool.
Yeah, when they stopped developing the Micronauts comics for Mego, the microverse was so tied into their IP that Mego retained the microverse name. That's why they had to change it to the quantum realm.
Nice. Now all the Ant-Man fans will know it wouldn't have existed that way if it weren't for Micronauts.
Right. Well, there's more to this guy's story though. This dude has a crazy story because while he was working at Marvel, he was studying for the bar, and he
Nice.
passed the bar in 1987 and became a public defender in the Bronx.
God, is he Daredevil too?
Right? Well, there's kind of a bittersweet end of the story because in 1992 he was a victim of a hit and run while he was rollerblading and suffered
Jesus.
severe brain trauma. So he's had to be in like a healthcare facility, like full-time healthcare facility since. Like he's never fully recovered from it.
My God.
And yeah, and his brother negotiated with Marvel Studios over the rights of Rocket Raccoon for the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. So Marvel agreed. Basically, his healthcare is taken care of for the rest of his life now
That's nice.
because
That's
of the
cool.
Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And Marvel actually set up private screenings for him so he could watch the movies.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it's like there's a lot of ups and downs with Bill Mantlo. And then Ralph Macchio, who is not the Karate Kid,
I saw the same thing. I saw like, what? No.
but they nicknamed him that at Marvel anyway, because
I
you're not
mean,
getting away from that name. But he started out as a fan who would write letters to the editor's column. It's always in the back of the Marvel Comics, the letter column, and he wrote a ton of them that got printed. So much that they actually invited him to tour the offices, and he like hung out with Chris Claremont and stuff. And they all liked him so much that they offered him a job,
wow,
and he ended
that's
up doing like Marvel 2-in-1 and Thor with Mark Grunwald, and
Jesus.
he was Denny O'Neil's assistant editor, and then finally became he was promoted to editor over the saga of Crystar or Crystar or whatever.
Chris Star, yeah, I think it's Chris
The
Star.
Crystal Warrior, yeah,
Yeah.
and then Rom Space Knight and Micronauts,
God.
and then Denny O'Neil, who was his editor when he was assistant, is the one who he came up with the term Aunty that you'll see later. We'll go into
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah.
And he named Optimus Prime. He did the first treatment for Transformers that Shooter rejected
I was
and
gonna
went
ask,
to Budiansky with that.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I thought Budiansky came up with all the concepts for in the names and such, but turns out not.
Yeah, he went to Denny O'Neil first, and Denny did some of it, and they didn't like it, and nobody else wanted it, so Shooter took it to Budiansky. But Shooter did a lot of the groundwork too, which we could
Oh
do a
yeah,
whole episode just on Shooter alone and
he
Budiansky.
he fleshed out. Yeah, Shim Shooter and Budiansky, they really fleshed out all the tech specs, which was all the. I mean, that was kind of the
The
actual.
personalities, yeah.
Yeah, that was. And this issue, spoiler alert, for a 40-year-old comic, this issue starts out, they basically are reading off their tech specs when you're introduced to the different characters.
Oh yeah, they went heavy into just, hey, here's this guy, move on. No, because it's seriously, it's like a usually like a 2-page spread of all the characters, like doing shout outs, roll calls.
I gotta say also, there's a whole thing when early sci-fi in the 70s, 80s sci-fi, like when I say early sci-fi, but early sci-fi for my growing up, Alpha Centauri was always one of those systems you always heard about.
Oh yeah, they love to mess with the neighbors.
Yeah, and sure enough, man, this Cybertron was found in the system of Alpha Centauri, and you know there's a lot of changes that have happened over 40 years for Origins. We were talking about this a bit,
Yeah,
where the Cybertron originally was a metal world. It was just a metal world that all the life came from metallic, robots or workers, things like that. There was
they just
no,
evolved from, like it says, gears and levers that just
yeah,
naturally occurred.
basically AI. Look out for Chat GPT, man, it's going to turn into a transformer. But
Right.
I mean, they evolved of a completely metal world. Like all the life was metal, all the life, everything about it was robotic and metallic, and they basically became a civilization that evolved from that.
Yeah, they're more metal based life forms than
Yeah,
anything. Yeah.
exactly. And so the first few panels, the first page really, it tells all about this. So there's an organic, creamy center like Beast Machine setup.
Yeah, there's no rocks or soil, even, it
No,
says. There's like it's all machine.
nothing at all. And of course, the cartoon, well, I don't say the comic after a while, it kind of it messes with all that. But right now, the exposition for this limited, miniseries that 1 through 4 is this is a metallic world. That's all it was. The workers, I mean, had this nice idyllic society where they had civilization like everything else,
And they were all called
and
Autobots.
there was no, I don't know, there wasn't anything that denotes life as we would know it. And that kind of plays into what we're going to end up with, as we go into
Oh
the
yeah.
issue. But honestly, the way everything kind of begins, you have you have what would become the Decepticons starting out at the end of this. And the first Transformer to say anything in the issues is Ravage of all characters.
The guy who never talked. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't know.
it's making out like Autobots for the first, like they were all Autobots originally.
Yeah, they
Kind
were.
of the
There
way
were
it made
there
it out.
was there was really, like, I don't know if there was even needing of factions, but yeah, they would start off as all Autobots. But yeah, you have the Decepticons. Well, actually, not even all of them. You have Megatron, Soundwave, and Ravage from a precipice looking over the society and thinking, realizing, and like Ravage is the first one to talk, and he just kind of like I don't know, he says he's just very hissy about everything. Like they want this world of kind of fall. They want to change everything.
It's
They don't
become
like how
stagnant.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like the decay and stagnation is just sickening to them.
And it's funny because, Ravage is notorious for not talking, and he's the first
Yeah,
one to actually speak.
first Transformers character in the comic to speak as Ravage.
This is the first Transformers character ever, because this is the first piece of lore published for anything. So the first Transformer to speak is Ravage.
Yeah, of all things. And honestly, his loyalties are kind of in flux. Like getting into this issue, like he's just a master spy, which really plays more into the Beast Wars rendition of Ravage.
Right.
So they don't really know where his loyalties lie, and he's just kind of
Megatron
this.
threatens him even.
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah.
definitely. And I really like how they went on from this. You have the this is gonna it's not to be hyperbolic or anything like that, but the rise of the Decepticons is almost like the rise of the Nazi Party. They met in clandestine meetings to
Hmm.
start developing plans. Like and it may have been on purpose. They may have like used that kind of thing as a kind of a skeleton to building what would become the Decepticons and so on. They had the panel shows a building with the Decepticon symbol above it. That's where they secretly met, I guess.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a lot of Cold War vibes too. Like it's
That's
a
exactly.
secret Bolshevik cell.
Yeah, exactly. Or you could even say, how, apparently early Christians met with I get what people consider the Pisces symbol, the
Oh
fish.
yeah, the Ichthus.
Ichthus, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of that. I mean, so they're basically meeting and forming plans, and then
They're
essentially
the
they
first
have
to
the
be Transformers.
yeah, and they start kind of working their stuff towards weaponry and
Hmm.
machines of war rather than labor and living regular lives. And you first see Megatron, he doesn't even have a fusion cannon on his arm.
Right.
It's like that was something he developed as they're trying to hone their whole message and what they're going to do. And essentially they have their old crystal knock, and they go to war against the Autobots, and Autobots are so overwhelmed because they're not fighters, but it says like some of them stood up and they were able to repel some of it, but they were still fighting and falling behind.
Oh yeah, because it was a completely peaceful society up until
Yeah.
this point. Like they say, it was a mechanical paradise.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
some people don't always like that. And of course, one great leader rises from the Autobots, being Optimus Prime, and he's basically he's this symbol for the Autobots. And you don't really get that in the cartoon. The whole thing of the war, you're thrown into the end of it really,
Hmm.
and there they leave the planet, and that's all you know. But with this, you're supposed to understand that this for 1,000 years, I think it said in the little wall of text.
Now,
Or
what I
the
liked in that the early pages there is all the almost characters
Mhm.
they're like I think in the like page one, there's like a not Optimus, there's a not Bumblebee, there's a not Sunstreaker, not Hound, and not Trailbreaker.
Yeah,
And then later you see one that the fans have termed Big Red.
yeah,
You saw Big Red, and he has
yeah,
like Trailbreaker's legs and Hound's head, and then just like some kind of miscellaneous parts for his torso and arms. And
yeah,
he's just like crushing like some flying Decepticon in one hand.
yeah. Almost like this. He looks like the size of like Omega Supreme, but he's
Right.
obviously not.
Yeah, there's a forced perspective there, but yeah, he just looks like a big tough guy, and we've got like nothing on that dude. Like nobody did anything with him.
Yeah, Megatron's whole thing. He was he eventually Megatron finally gets the look he's originally supposed to. Well, he has the look he originally had in the early ads for the toys and really the blue was it the Bluebird books, or what are the name of the company?
Is it Ladybird? Is that the one you're
Ladybird,
thinking
thank
of?
you.
Yeah.
Ladybird books, yeah. How he has a black helmet. He actually has a head that looks a lot like Browning.
Mm-hmm. And
And
he's
so
got really big eyes too.
yeah, almost like big shades, almost like that 70s, 80s superhero big shades, like almost like
Yeah.
Plastic Man.
Right. Yeah. These big goggle looking
Yeah.
eyes.
But he has a huge fusion cannon. That fusion cannon is like half the size that he is. So
Yeah.
his whole thing is he wants to turn basically conquer all the Transformers and turn Cybertron into a giant dreadnought, like a war world, and fly
Right.
it through, taking over other, systems and whatnot.
Which, that comes up much later in the series, but it was
Yep.
originally his plan.
Yeah. It took, who to bring that to
Bludgeon.
Bludgeon, really? Yeah, I think it's really Bludgeon. Yeah,
Yeah, it was Bludgeon.
you're right. And so yeah, it takes a toll on the Autobots until Optimus Prime rises up, and it kind of leads them in this war. And he never appears as Orion Pax. That Orion
Right.
Pax was something that came completely from the show. And man, his alt mode is so ugly.
Oh yeah, it's just it looks like he's a half transformed nothing. I mean, it's just a mess.
And the wheels look like he's supposed to have tank treads, but they
Right.
fell off. He's got
Yeah.
his rifle on top like a tank turret.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's really weird. They were trying to do
The
something.
closest thing I could say it looks like is it Gasket, the little car that came with Fortress Maximus?
Kind of.
The way the wheels stick out, if you put like Optimus Prime's gun on top of Gasket,
Kind of,
that's
yeah.
kind of what he looked like.
That's the closest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. Um, yeah, so you know, the Autobots kind of get their footing and whatnot, and then they they're you kind of the work kind of kind of goes both sides for a while. And they start to rebuild cities and get like sanctuary cities and stuff on Cybertron. And then the Autobot astronomers warns Optimus Prime about the path of Cybertron. They're like it's hurling towards this asteroid belt.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Wonder where that is.
yeah, exactly. Well, so right here, there's always this question during the original show, the G1 show, that is Cybertron a rogue planet? Is it in a system? What's going on? But yeah, essentially, it's a rogue planet. It's just hurtling
Yeah,
through.
it says it got shaken loose from its orbit from their war. So
Yeah,
whatever they
however that happened.
did,
That's a big
bad.
explosion. It's the size
Right?
of Saturn, by the way. I forgot to mention that as well.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
I mean, you really think about it, the size of the Transformers compared to like our size. I think that's what they're trying to do is kind of give it a relation to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have something about the size of Saturn.
And I guess
And
since it's all hollow, that it's not as dense as like a real planet, that a metal planet would be that size, because
maybe,
it's
yeah.
like an onion. It's got layers.
So yeah, Optimus has the Autobots construct a large ship that can lead an expeditionary force to take out the asteroid field. And the ship is dubbed the Ark. So they never really call it the Ark in the show, but here it's called the Ark.
Yeah, it's dubbed that. Did you check out that Autobot Elder that looked an awful lot like Alpha Trion?
He did. Well, it was like the elder or so much, or was it was it that he, you know, I don't know. He's like the Autobot astronomer. But
Right. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he kind of had that Alpha Trion look, but then again, one of those things where you kind of fit in like where they would look, kind of close to Alpha Trion, or is it supposed to look like some
It was just an old man robot, but
Yeah,
I mean, it'd be easy to make that connection, even though
yeah,
they're probably not connected.
no, not at all.
Yeah. And then
But
there's that gold robot next to Optimus, which, looks like it could have been a prototype for Emirate Zeron.
that's what I was thinking when I saw him. Actually, yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably where they got him from, honestly.
Yeah.
And after that, probably at the UK comics, like, hey, look, get this random guy.
Right.
So, unfortunately, like everything in the show, Ravage is listening in. So, they can't get away from spies, and he is the master spy. So, of course, he's listening.
doing what Laserbeak does in the Sunbow cartoon. It's
100%.
Ravage. Yeah.
And so he like on board the Ark, the Autobots, they refer to them as the Sons of Cybertron.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't I don't know if that it comes up again. But
Yeah, I don't think it does. At least not in the US.
No. So they work to clear a path to the asteroid belt. I mean, there's huge guns on the ship. There's like one of the Transformers out there on the deck of the ship, just shooting a huge rifle.
Did you see what the gun behind him was?
No.
It was like Ratchet and Ironhide's little treaded platform.
Oh, nice.
Like
okay.
the back half of the toy was part of the weaponry on the Ark.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
By the way, that's another thing. Like they went completely off of toy designs.
Oh yeah, they were straight up toy. Even Bumblebee has like the visor and mask, and yeah.
Luckily,
no heads for Ratchet and Ironhide.
Which what, man, I like it. I always like that the original form. Some people will make fun of it, they don't like it, but I mean, I dig it.
I think if they had stuck with that design, it wouldn't bother people as much. It's because most people saw the cartoon first.
Yep.
And then they saw the toys and they didn't look anything like it. But if they'd always looked like that, I don't think there would even be a problem.
Exactly. And I love it. They're so Optimus references that they'll be passing close to a third planet in a certain solar system. Whatever that is. Weird.
Yeah, and they thought it was a lifeless world.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, at the time, the way they consider life, yeah.
Right. It's not life as they know it, Captain.
The Decepticons launch a surprise attack. Who saw this coming? Which the Autobots retaliate, but they're so low energy because they've been using all their own energy to destroy asteroids to
Oh,
help clear
and
a path.
just as Optimus was announcing that they need to make peace with the Decepticons,
Yeah,
like he's like, we need to go home and make peace. Like he had this big cosmic moment. He saw how big the universe was, and
yeah.
then as soon as he decides that, Megatron attacks.
And they're fighting, and like Prowl's like prime. They have like a 3.7% chance of actually surviving here. What do we do? Optimus is like, well, we're not going to let the Ark fall in their hands. We're not going to let any of our technology fall into Decepticon hands. We're going to take and shoot the Ark into the third planet. We're going to kill everyone.
Optimus rage quit.
He did. He 100% did. He's like, you know what? They can't have it. I'm done with this. Yeah, he reset the console. they uh they fly into the third planet and crash into a volcanic mountain. Weird. Where's that at?
Yeah. Oh, and you want the geographic location?
I know exactly where it is.
Oh, I know you do.
Mount St. Hilary.
Hillary in Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which Mount St. Helens is in Washington, but
Yeah, that was their analog for it since it
just
was big in the
enough.
news.
And so it's essentially Mount Hood in Oregon or Mount St. Helens in Washington.
They
And
probably just merged the two.
yeah, pretty much. And the Ark
Yeah.
crash, it sits there for 4 million years until there's a jolt. There's like a rumble in the mountain, and the Ark wakes up, and all the hatches start opening, and all the lights start coming on, and it sends a satellite up into the sky to look for intelligent life. But because it's something that's being brought up on mechanical life being intelligent life, it starts scanning all these different forms, and it can't tell. Apparently, it's been sitting there so long it can't tell the difference between friend or foe. So
Right.
it starts just like repairing everything,
It's
and
got corrupted memory.
yeah, exactly. That disk sat
I,
too close to a magnet.
I like how when it passed over the forest to the probe, it just looked like Tron.
It did. And so yeah, it kind of like tries to fit like forms that would go fit like what he already has to work with, or it has to work with.
Yeah, like if they had a flying form, then it picked like an airplane for them. If they
Yeah.
had a ground form, then it picked the truck. Yeah.
So yeah, basically it goes and like finds all the weapons of war and turns all the Decepticons into weapons of war, and it finds all the
Great idea.
finds all the lame 18 wheelers and trucks and sports cars, and turns all the
Volkswagens.
yeah, VW bug. God.
Oh yeah, and it doesn't register any organic life forms at all. Like it doesn't recognize any of them.
No. So they all get rebuilt. The what was the name of the rebuilding thing in Optimus Prime's trailer?
Oh yeah, they're calling it auto launcher now.
Auto
It wasn't
launcher.
called that then, but that's what I've heard the dev team, the designers, calling it in their live streams.
So yeah, the auto launcher is that piece in Optimus Prime's trailer that's attached to like a almost like a hook arm that comes up and has like a claw on the side and a radar dish on the side, and just takes them and starts ripping apart the Transformers and rebuilding them and welding them essentially in the trailer, and rebuilding. So it rebuilds all of them, and the Decepticons are all like, I am Skywarp, and I will fly into the middle of all of them and wreck all their plans, and I am Thundercracker.
Oh yeah, they all reintroduce themselves to the people they already know.
They're like, have you seen my tech spec? This is what I do. And it does the same thing with the Autobots. But yeah,
they both wake up at the same time, unlike the Sunbow cartoon where the Decepticons woke up first and Optimus is accidentally revived. They both wake up at the same time.
Yeah, and and God, Huffer, I guess, is the ship engineer.
Yeah.
Which, at least they gave him a job in this, because I can't stand him. He's insufferable in the cartoon.
Well, and if you look at them, the way they've got it laid out is the Autobots, they were picked for, clearing the path to the asteroid. So you had a regular ship's complement of like engineers and workers, and then you had, your fighters that were there to break rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
essentially.
Whereas the Decepticons are just like, we're pirates. We're here to, board you and steal all your stuff and kill you.
Sideswipe's like, well, I'm gonna go use my pile drivers and stuff. Like half the time I forget Sideswipe has pile drivers, but they tell you first issue, you're like, this is what I do. I got pile drivers. I'm gonna pile drive some rocks over here. And Ironhide's like, I have really thick skin, but I'm really old. They run down. Ironhide is on his sled platform. He's
Mm-hmm.
just hanging out on that thing. He's like, yeah, well, I'm old and crotchety, and I'm gonna go. I guess I'll fix the hull of the ship.
He's on his motorized scooter because he's old. His hover around.
Like Bumblebee's like, yeah, I don't use very much fuel at all, so I'm going to be very efficient, and I'll go scout.
Right.
Ron is like, I don't care how much gas I use. I'm going to beat someone up. The Clipjumper's like, yeah, me too.
Oh man, and then the computer Aunty, as it's called in
Aunty.
this one issue of the U.S.
It's not
like
mother.
programmed them all with information on Earth's resources. So even the Decepticons, like it gave them all the information they needed for resources.
So when in episode 1 where the Decepticons wake up like, this world is rich in energy, they didn't need to like scan anything. The computer's like, hey guys, here's all the energy. Good
It
luck.
had the world energy chip already plugged into all of them.
Yeah, pretty much. And also I love this. So all the Autobots sit there and they're silhouetted while they sit there for hours and watch TV to learn about the world.
Right. Well, and they're shocked because they thought it was lifeless and it's covered with machines. So they think, look at it's teeming with life, and Optimus has his first guilt trip.
We brought the Decepticons here. Crap.
Yeah.
And it's like essentially what happened in the 2007 movie. Like, we learned from your internet.
Yeah.
Like, oh God.
We've got to protect all these Chryslers and Fords from Megatron.
Oh man. So it even like they look all like their toys. Even Huffer's got the claw arms and the weird thing over his head. So
oh yeah, Braun's got like those weird like C-shaped hands.
yeah.
It
looks very Robbie the Robot kind of hands on the Autobots. So all the Decepticons are just like ripping for battle.
Do you remember Video Man from the old Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends cartoon?
A little bit.
He was like, yeah, that's what Braun's hands always reminded me of, because he was like a weird like 2D villain. Yeah, that's what Braun's hands always reminded me of.
So we find the Witwickies. They live in Oregon. But I gotta say, Sparkplug's name actually makes sense because he has a garage. He repairs cars. He's not a guy on an oil tanker with his 15-year-old son on an oil tanker.
And 16 other jobs on the side.
Yeah, he's not like a journeyman for every other job in the world. But wait, it's not Spike, it's Buster. Buster is the most early 80s comic book name kid.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you might as well, call him, Archie or something, but Buster.
Right.
Yeah.
And Jim Shooter came up with the Witwicky name. It was a name of a kid he knew, like from like back in the day. So he named it after like an old friend of his.
So Buster is a smart kid. He wants to. I guess he's trying to get on these scholarships for college. Sparkplug, wants him to be like a mechanic. He wants to learn how to engines work, and he's like,
Buster's a nerd.
He is. And he Sparkplug, he's like, I want you to learn by living, not just reading.
Yeah. Get your nose out of those funny books, kid. Yeah. He's like every comic book reader.
Yeah, pretty much. So we go to the Autobots, who are going like a bat out of hell down the streets, and there's a hiker who's coming off Mount St. Hilary, and the joke here is they're looking for Earthlings, and they almost hit the hiker.
Oh yeah, they don't even notice the dude. He's like, there could have been a hit and run, and they would have just kept going.
Well, stick my thumb out. No one's picking me up, and also he's like, I hear like a really loud car. And it's like a fleet of cars come by, and there's like, there's no drivers. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, with Prowl right in the front too. Yeah, like exactly. The police car almost plows him down.
And man, they are pissed off. Braun and Cliffjumper want to fight something. Prowl's like, no. Optimus said we should go scout and learn what we can about this world and their life inhabitants. Like, come on, man, we want to fight. Nope.
Those guys are psychopaths.
They are.
Just want to kill something.
They are. So I totally get that from Braun, but I guess Cliffjumper. Well, Cliffjumper, that was kind of his personality in the show too. Like, he's the one who wanted to shoot Megatron the first chance he got.
Right.
So yeah, they're looking for Earthlings that almost hit a guy. And so the Decepticons are told by Laserbeak that Autobots are trying to create an alliance with the Earthlings. So of course they go to stop them.
Oh yeah, they're afraid they're gonna make friends with the Fords and the Chryslers and
Yeah. But the joke of this is all the Autobots, they come out to this like little like overlook and like, oh, there's a drive-in theater. Oh no, they don't, they see a drive-in theater, but they say like they're all there in front of this big screen with a projection
yeah,
on it. What's going on here? They don't understand like all the cars. It's like if someone come over and like they saw the movie Cars with in a movie theater, like they're all like watching it. That's what they assumed. So they
well,
go down there.
they thought it was a religious ceremony. They thought all the cars were going to church.
And the thing is, like the woman that is at the desk at the entrance, she's like, "You pay per head," and there's no people in the cars. They just drive right through.
Yep. A lot of little in jokes there.
There are.
Yeah.
And so they're all there, and the Decepticons attack the drive-in theater. Oh, actually, before that, I'm sorry. Bumblebee bumps the back of Buster's car.
Oh
Buster
yeah, he
looks,
rear ends him.
it looks like he's driving a freaking Chevelle or something. He's got a pretty like heavy looking car. So he bumps him, and he's worried that his dad's going to kill him because he has a fender bender. He gets out and goes, "There's no one in the car. He must have rolled on his brakes."
That was probably Sparkplug's loaner car.
Yeah, probably right. It's probably like an old beat up, God, well, I'm trying to think, Crown Vic or something, an old one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and Buster's making out with his girlfriend right in front of his buddy who's a third wheel, and him and Jesse are there just making out right in front of him.
Yeah, like,
and he doesn't seem very happy about it.
You want to disengage so I can enjoy the movie,
right?
And yeah, he's not.
Nobody wants to be that third wheel.
No.
Yeah. At least let him in the front seat and you guys get in the back so he doesn't have to look at you.
Pretty much. Watch the bad movie. Come on, man. So the Decepticons attack. Of course they do. And okay. They do a lot of heavy lifting with the exposition right here. So during the fight, it's established the Autobots can't fly. The Starscream is a usurper. And what a glass gun actually does.
Oh yeah. His glass gas gun.
Glass gas gun, yeah. So you hear about like weird guns and stuff that the Autobots have, or the Decepticons have too. You hear Starscream uses his null ray a lot. Wheeljack uses his grenade launcher, things like that.
Yeah, they always like announce what their gun is.
So my glass gas gun, like, cool. It shoots things. Okay, no, this is actually kind of cool. It's kind of debilitating. He shoots the Seekers, and basically makes their the metal of their skin brittle, so it starts breaking apart, and so their wings are crumbling and stuff in the air. So I mean, right there, that's a pretty debilitating weapon.
Oh yeah.
Of course, it probably gets nerfed pretty quickly because they can't have one guy doing all the heavy lifting.
So the smallest guy there.
Yeah, exactly. So we now know the Autobots cannot fly, no matter what the cartoon actually had. And Starscream being they say like, hey Starscream, we know you're gonna you hate Megatron, you want to take over. They say it right there. So
yeah.
I mean, they don't even give any evidence. I would have rather have seen something like Megatron, like, or Starscream be like, yes, Megatron, but I can do it better. No, they don't even bother with that.
Well, one of the weird things they did in the comic compared to Sunbow is like not even all the Decepticons could fly. Like if you didn't have a flight mode, you couldn't fly. So like Megatron and Soundwave couldn't fly on their own.
I think it's the next issue, or maybe the third issue. Like the jets land and they dump Megatron and Soundwave and the tapes out.
Yeah, they have to like ride in their cockpits and stuff.
Yeah,
but that's another issue.
Yeah, that's like issue 3 or something. It does that.
Yeah.
And
Ravage gets scared off by Hound's hologram.
That's right.
He shoots a fake missile at Ravage, and Ravage turns tail and runs.
Yeah. And there's this whole fight going on, and then like they all take off, and they can't find Bumblebee. They're like, well, obviously Bumblebee is probably smart. He left early because
well, they saw him get injured though. That's the worst part.
Yeah.
They said, well, maybe he wasn't hurt so bad.
He left early.
Yeah, and when he got shot by the Seekers, Buster heard him yell because he was going to chew him out for rear-ending him.
Yeah.
And so he knows there's something up with his car. But yeah, Prowl and all of them just bail on Bumblebee. He's wounded.
Yep. And so Buster gets in the car. And he's like, well, there's no ignition, there's no pedals, and like, well, it's going. I guess I'll just guide it. He's like he's steering it, but it's just going. He's like, oh well, I guess we're doing this
Oh,
now.
and that's why they bailed, because they saw all the people getting out of the cars, and Prowl realized that the machines weren't the
Yeah,
dominant life form, it was humans. And they're like, oh, wait, we got to go tell Optimus everything's wrong. So they
we
just
were wrong.
leave. Yeah.
Yeah,
Never
we
mind,
were.
Bumblebee. This is more important to tell Optimus that there's little squishy things.
Yeah, we were way off.
Yeah.
So Sparkplug wakes up. He's like, and I love it. He was like, "What the deuce?" Who says that besides like Stewie?
I was going to say, it reminded me of Stewie from Family Guy.
What
And
the
also, when Buster left in Bumblebee, he bailed on Jesse and O. He left his girlfriend
Yeah.
and his best friend in a war zone.
Hey, the old beat up Crown Vic, man. That's not cool.
Right?
So he drives back and he takes it to the garage, and he's got Bumblebee up on the lift, and Sparkplug has this moment. It's like, such a proud dad. You finally hit. Look, man, it's cool. You didn't want to tell me. I won't get in your way, but I'm so proud right now. He's like, but Dad, you understand this thing? It's like talking. It's like, no, son, I don't care. Whatever you want to do, I support you. And then
Yeah.
Bumblebee is like, help, I'm dying here.
Oh yeah, he speaks English. He's the first one to speak English to a human.
Yeah.
But yeah, it like Jesse and O are like, we got to get out of here, because the Decepticons, when they shot at Bumblebee, they blew up Sparkplug's car.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing you got I guess a replace loaner.
Right? But yeah, I like the little chin punch that Sparkplug did when he saw Buster working on the car. Oh, you're just like a chip off the old block, buddy.
So proud. Like Buster opens up the back end of Bumblebee. He's like, this doesn't look right. This is all wrong. What is this? So
and you see a lot of stuff that they used in later, like in the movies and stuff. Like,
oh yeah,
it was Charlie. Like, they almost recreated this scene with Charlie and Bumblebee.
100%.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of nods. Like when I reread this, because like I said, it's been a couple decades since I've even looked at this book. By the way, that's one of my favorite covers. The big Optimus Prime, and then you have this Sparkplug looks like, I don't know. He looks like an old actor. I'm trying to place who he looks like, but it's a really nice looking cover. That's almost like a very faded out look.
It's a painted cover.
It is.
Yeah.
But it has a very much like an old, I don't know, old actor from the 80s. I'm trying to place who it is, but yeah, it's a really nice looking cover, and you could tell that they took a lot of things from this. Like, I am the first to tell you that I think the 2007 movie is not great. Well, I won't be the first to tell you. You probably the same thing, but you could
Never
tell
heard that before.
Yeah, you could tell that someone read the old comics, and they got some ideas. Like, they did some kind of nice, I don't know, parallels from this. So
oh yeah,
it was kind of nice to see that. It made me feel a little better about the 2007 movie.
Well, even in Rise of the Beast, they mentioned the drive-in movie theater.
Yes, they do.
That's a reference to this issue.
So we may give a lot of crap to the people who write the movies and script editors and everything for these movies, but especially Rise of the Beast. So these guys are doing some good research. Now, how it translates into a major motion picture, that's different. But
oh yeah, and it's never going to be a direct translation. Like, this certainly wouldn't make $1 billion.
Oh God, no.
Because they'd stand around and talk about themselves for like 30 minutes.
But me, I'm really loud. It'll scare them. Me, I have great flight skills, and you'll never catch me.
I use a lot of energy, but I have force fields, so I'm Chris Christopherson.
well, I can protect you for like 5 minutes, but I'm all out of energy. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about the old days of Cybertron.
Right.
Yeah, honestly though, I am a huge fan of a lot of the original toy designs. So looking at this in the book, even like when they're talking to the astronomer, I think it's Jazz. I think, well, actually no, it's Prowl. Prowl's there with them.
Well, that's that gold robot that looks kind of like Prowl, and
That's
Jazz.
right.
He has like parts of both, but he's gold. So
Yeah, he has like the design. He has He has Jazz's like or Jazz or slash Prowl or slash Blue Streaks
Well, from the waist
leg
up,
designs.
he's like, yeah, from the waist up, he's Prowl,
Yeah,
and then from the waist down, he's Jazz.
yeah. So you had that old original like toy feet look, which is really cool. And you had the wings for the doors and all that.
Oh yeah.
The, those
Spoiler
old
on the
designs.
ankles.
Yeah,
It's almost like the Hermes' wings on his feet.
yeah. Actually, it kind of is. And the face of Optimus Prime looks a lot like this old Ladybird looks too. It's
Oh yeah.
very angular. It does, you know, what we think of as Optimus Prime, you know, nowadays is I don't know, is very. It looks a little less samurai like, but that
Hmm.
original look is very samurai helmet looking.
Oh yeah,
So,
definitely.
you know, obviously that's inspired by that because you know you look at Gundam heads and all that. They had a very stylized samurai looking face head.
Yeah, well, his helmet looks like a Ronin helmet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, you have that style, and it's very pronounced in this because they went off of those designs. And those designs are what they use for those Ladybird books. It's what they used for that original toy ad that was coming out.
Oh yeah.
They didn't get very stylized like the El Sunbo cartoon, but they went very directly from the toys. It was
Oh
kind
yeah.
of
Well,
cool to
they
see
went
that.
and redesigned them completely when they did Sunbow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
And
they standardized it somewhat.
yeah, and I think that's part of the problem where people are like, "Well, this toy is terrible." No, it really wasn't. It was terrible because you were used to, like you said earlier, they saw the cartoon before they got the toy.
It was expectations.
Yes,
Yeah.
this doesn't look like Ironhide or Ratchet. No, it doesn't, but they're really cool looking.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't.
and because they were repurposed from Diaclone, they were meant to have a pilot
Yeah,
instead of a sticker face.
yeah. I'm actually one of those big apologists for the Ironhide and Ratchet toy. I think they're really cool,
Hmm.
and I didn't actually have one until I was an adult, and I went back like these are great. I've actually got to restore a Ratchet right now because he's a little yellow. But I mean, they're
Half gold.
very limited. He's a gold variant. Uh, this, so yeah, like honestly, this issue one is a lot better than I remember it,
Hmm.
and it might be because we realize like you're talking about all the things they've used in the movies or things they've used later on in the mythos,
Oh yeah, this was their world building issue. Like they had to do a lot of heavy lifting in this issue alone,
and they
just to
did.
just to establish the whole universe.
I mean, you can go from the arc as you reminded me, the showrunners for Beast Wars, Bob Ford and Larry DiTilio,
Hmm.
they did a lot of asking of fans. They kind of merged comic book and the G1 cartoon and all that
Yeah.
together, like this own little side universe. So Beast Wars doesn't really fit into the Generation One, you know, world as much because it uses elements from
It
the
takes
comic
some
book.
from each. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's almost like this its own, you know, alternate reality.
Hmm.
But so it's kind of nice to see all those things come back. You can see where they got a lot of stuff. And I'm sorry, Auntie. That's obviously a reference to Mother from Alien,
Right.
which is cool. They don't use it again. It was weird. It's very.
Well, they use it a lot in the UK comics, though.
I was gonna say that was a very UK thing.
Yeah, which we may want to dive into those as we
I,
go because there's a lot.
I want to go. You know, everyone. Sorry if you get your hopes up. If may not, I don't know. But we're going to the U.S. comic. But I think I might want to go divert into the UK comic just to see how it differs because I read the U.S. comic, you know, when I was younger,
Hmm.
and I haven't read it from the beginning from the UK perspective. So I think it'll be a little more interesting. So yeah.
Oh yeah, it'll be the new territory for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
because
I mean,
there's a
yes, you've read them
lot
all.
there.
I've read them all.
Yeah.
We knew for you, young fan.
Oh yeah, but I mean, well, even like,
Honestly,
oh, go
huh?
ahead.
No, I was saying the like I like about the UK stuff is we get a lot of the better, the later stories from the G1 comics from the UK comics. You know,
Right.
Target 2006, you know, and so on. Time Wars.
Well, and they really flesh out the characters and just the universe itself a lot in these extra stories because they have basically double the issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they break each of the American comics into 2 issues, and then the other 2 issues, because it was a weekly, were UK exclusives, and their entire arc's just based on Aunty.
Nice.
Yeah.
And also, lest we forget, Death's Head is in the UK,
Oh
universe.
yeah. Well, I'm all about some Death's Head.
Yes, yes, yes. Of course, Simon Furman being the main writer in that area. Which
Zabgoth and I were just talking about Death's Head like last night, literally. Like we were digging through all the Death's Head lore that's in there right now. Yeah,
there's a lot. God,
there's like 5 Death's Heads right now.
right now,
Yeah.
are they just wandering out in the comic universes?
Well, sometimes they team up, sometimes they don't, and they've got like a punk rock, like number 5. They just call him V, and he's got like a mohawk, and this is like in the current comics, and yeah, Death's Head 1 is still Transformer size, and is like dealing with like Shield and Sword and all those guys. Like he was a recurring character in Sword.
I think I was more familiar with Death's Head 2, who was actually he was more human sized. He would wander around doing stuff with other alien stuff that were like
right. He had the multiple personalities.
Oh yes,
like in his brain. Yeah,
that he's the one I'm most familiar with, but I don't have a lot of understanding of Death's Head, so it'll be kind of cool to see all that.
Yeah,
which also Death's Head kind of merged in there with the Doctor Who universe.
Right.
So by a manner of steps, like the 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon kind of way, Transformers and Doctor Who share the same universe.
Oh yeah. Well, and like the Sword comic is actually kind of referenced in the current Secret Wars series.
Yep.
Because they talk about, I don't know, have you seen Secret Wars yet? Not
I
Secret
know it was
Wars.
coming.
Sorry, Secret Invasion.
I haven't seen it yet, but I was coming.
Okay, well they make reference to Saber.
Okay.
Which is part of the Sword project.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Death's Head like played a major role in the Marvel comics there. So it may be an intro for Death's Head into the MCU.
That'd be great.
That would be cool. That'd be some crazy CGI if they do him like they did in the comics, because he was still Transformer size before he got shrink down.
That's gonna be wild, dude. It's probably gonna be playing with a lot of licensing and whatnot, so we'll see how that all goes. But for right now, we're in Transformers, so
right, yeah, I know. I'll get me on Death's Head. I'll go off on a tangent.
Yeah, I'm sure we can spend a few hours talking about Death's Head.
Really back
so,
in.
Yeah, we're this is issue 1, so I guess we're gonna jump over to UK after this. So
well, I think for the first few issues, it's gonna be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think their first 8 issues is our 4 issues. It's after that we start to get extra stories.
Yeah, with the UKs, aren't they like essentially half issues with a lot of other
yeah, they'll have supplementary stories in the back. Like this one in UK number 1 had Machine Man story in the back of it. So it was half Transformers, half Machine Man. So it's all robots. And they have a little short article about robots that like features like cinematic robots through history. It has like R2D2 and C3PO and goes through all that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool.
And a lot of like contests to win free Transformers, which man, we didn't get those. I would have loved to have got some of that action.
Well, we just had stupid GoBot ads, and I'm kidding. I was
the Nestle Quick ones.
Looked at issue 3. It was kind of cool to see the monogram model kit for GoBots there.
Oh yeah,
on the other page from I talked about on the AG Facebook page with the first page of I think it was issue 3. Anyways, yeah. So those things.
4.
It was 4.
Yeah, Last Stand.
That's right. It was The Last Stand. So yeah, you have all these things that existed together. It was a great time capsule because that's what we all had then. It was, people say like, well, I hated GoBots. If you were alive then you probably didn't. This is probably the thing. Like, well, we have Transformers at home. No, we don't. Those are GoBots. Yeah, those are Transformers. That's what we had.
Oh yeah, well, I was into GoBots first because they came first.
Yeah.
And when I first saw Transformers ad on TV, which it was that old Transformers commercial that had the Megatron where he looked like the comic.
Yeah.
And I saw him like, oh, these guys are ripping off GoBots. That was my first thought when I saw anything Transformers.
Oh, how the times have changed.
Well, I'll tell you, a kid going to school got Sideswipe and Optimus Prime for Christmas, and he had
Hmm.
them on the bus. And I looked at them, and I saw how big and like chunky they were, and they had rubber tires and everything. And I was like, that was like when I first started leaning towards Transformers. I still loved GoBots and had a ton of them, but when the Dinobots came out, that's what sold me for Transformers.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, honestly,
I've got Grimlock on my desk right now, so and Sludge.
I have a lot of the desk currently. And it's funny how Starscream, the Action Master Starscream, looks closer to the Starscream in the comic than he does the original Starscream looks like the one in the comic. The colors are really interesting in the episode or the issue also because they hadn't quite got the color palette right.
Oh yeah.
It was very reminiscent of a lot of early '80s rushed out small properties
Well,
where
and these things stuck throughout the series. I mean, it's Nel Yomtov, first of all, who did like every issue of the G1 Marvel US comics.
Um, so he did that up until who did a lot of the later ones that I was talking to you the other night where they looked wet or they looked shiny all the time.
Oh, that was still Yomtov doing the colors. He did the colors from #1 to 80.
He did. Oh wow,
He did
okay.
the
So
full run. Yeah. So I
he
mean,
took a
he's
different
also
style from somewhere.
responsible for like the pink Defensor and purple Bruticus or blue
God.
Bruticus. Yeah. So
But he obviously took a style from somewhere else and like adapted that style where they look shinier. They honestly they looked
well, a lot of
wet.
that was the inks from Steven Baskerville gave him that, and then he would
Yeah.
go along with the inks on that, and they came out like really wet.
It's funny too. They always probably because there's a lot of pretenders and a lot of the Transformers they were action masters at that time, so they looked like guys wearing pieces of armor.
Oh
So
yeah,
they
that
always
was
looked like they're
Wildman.
yeah, Andrew Wild.
Yeah.
They always looked like they were yelling or pissed off. They had teeth, mouth full of teeth, like ah,
Oh, spit coming out of their mouths,
oh
like oil
yeah,
spit. Yeah.
it was weird. Even
Galvatron has drool.
yeah, it's true. It's funny looking at this early Transformers art, the penciling to issue 80, how it changed. And then you go back and you go how it changed it into the Generation 2 comics. It went back to blockier designs.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean it's kind of wild how it all changed. Of course, you have other like Dreamwave is very blocky and almost like it's like blown up, like
They
roided
look
out looking
inflatable.
huge. Yeah, the inflatables.
Yeah.
Like they had the Claremont style, Captain America Optimus Prime. So and then you have like you go down to IDW where you get back sometimes they're blockier, sometimes they're more, I don't know, it looks like guys wearing armor again. Depends on
Mm-hmm.
whoever's doing it. So you see a lot of transitions, different art styles over the years. So it's kind of neat to see this all.
The purple Soundwave really stood out because this is like the first time, and he stays purple through a lot of the comic. Sometimes he's blue, but usually he's purple.
Yeah, and he's even purple in G2.
Yeah.
He did the
Yeah.
G2
I
comics.
kind of wish we'd get like a Gen Select version of him, like a comic Soundwave that's purple.
That would
That'd
be really
kinda
cool. Do like a almost like a cycle. Actually, if you look at Full Tilt, the figure Full Tilt for Triptychon, that's
Yeah.
kind of the right shade of purple.
That'd be a good purple for him.
And just do the I don't know, do that Walmart exclusive mold that turns into a cassette player, and
Right, the one
do
no
those
one can
colors.
get.
Yeah, no joke. But do it in those colors, and make it an exclusive. That'd be great. But
Yeah,
they
because I've seen
also
some customs where they repainted like the masterpiece
oh yeah,
Soundwave in those colors, and it looks great.
I'm sure it does. And honestly, the face of Soundwave has a very stylized look, also.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because it looks more like the toy face than the show face. So once again,
Right,
you get a lot
and
of that. So
and that's the face that they based the Decepticon symbol on.
yep, 100%.
Yeah.
And you can see it actually. The G2 symbol is even more like Soundwave's face.
Yeah.
I mean, they just pretty much took a line art of Soundwave's face, and like that's the Generation 2 symbol.
And then they took Prowl's face for the Autobot symbol.
Prowl's face?
Yeah, it's Prowl's face. Even the little lines on his cheeks and everything. It's stylized Prowl face.
And I kind of thought it was Optimus Prime's face more, but I'll look at that.
Well, the G1. G2 was Optimus Prime's face.
Yeah, G1. Yeah, I can see that. Actually, yeah, I can see that really well now. I think about it. Yeah, G2 is definitely Optimus Prime's face.
Oh, yeah.
100%. Oh,
And you
go
got to wonder
after.
how that worked out. Like, hey, you guys, you're all gonna wear my face on you now,
I'm your humble leader, but you're gonna wear a face.
right? They're gonna know who sent you.
But it was weird that then the G2 Decepticons wore Soundwave's face.
Yeah, I think they were still like developing like who was gonna be in charge.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy who has all the cassettes, man, that guy should be in charge. No, I got a bigger gun. Okay, fine, you're in charge. All right, well, going to end this here, but we're going to be working on more issues. We'll go into the UK issue so we can get a little more fleshed out. So
This was a good start. I could see why it took off as well as it did.
yeah, I gave a lot of crap to the old issues, but I haven't read these in a couple decades, and they're really good. It's very reminiscent of early 80s,
It's definitely 80s comics.
it is wall of text. And on top of that, it's like any other they didn't think of, they didn't know if it was going to actually take off. So here's a pet project. Robotics was the same way. I'm sure there are other
Oh,
limited
GI
series.
Joe,
GI Joe.
you know, which that yeah, Micronauts.
Yeah,
They all kind of did that same thing.
it was like here's all the world in 2 pages. Here's all the characters in 2 more pages.
Right. Well, this was supposed to be a limited series. They thought it'd go like 4 issues max, and they were going to wash their hands of it.
Poor fools.
Right. Little did they know.
40 years later.
Ugh.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut it here. And I want to thank everyone for checking us out. We'll continue working on this as a side to what going on the G1 episodes from Sunbow. And, check out the show notes. There's Discord that's pretty active in there. You have a Facebook page. You can email us at morethanmeetstheseguys@gmail.com or edhatestransformers@gmail.com. If you feel like you like the show and you want to help out at all, there's a Patreon that's been pretty much, I'm leaving that alone in case we have a catastrophic failure of a hard drive or something. So
Right.
that's kind of our slush fund. So thanks
Oh,
for
yeah.
everyone for helping out with that stuff. And until next time,
I have a quote.
Oh, you had a quote, please, by all means.
Look at them below, contented fools, ripe for our conquest.
Ravage.
That's
Nice.
Ravage. That's the first spoken dialogue in Transformers.
Which is funny.
Yeah.
Hi, Ravage, who doesn't talk in the show at all.
Oh, he does once.
Does he?
Yeah. When he's in Soundwave and he's telling him about the rocket base. Yeah. And then that's it.
Technically, yes, he does talk, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I'm gonna end it here. So we all take it easy and have a great night or a day or wherever you're at. And thanks for listening as always.
Have a good one.
A lot of one, y'all. Bye. More Than Mises Guys is performed by Evan Johns and Ed Strickland. Research is performed by Evan Johns, Ed Strickland, and with special research done by Boo of the Axalon Underground.net. All used images in the videos are property of Sunbow, Hasbro, Paramount, or Marvel. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in every week with us. We appreciate it.